almost as many ways of sharing your photographs with the world as there are ways of shooting the photographs in the first place. From Facebook to Twitter, from Flickr to Instagram, it seems like everyone in the world has photographs that they want to share electronically. All of these sites are public and most work in very similar ways. By uploading an image onto any one of these sites, you electronically publish your photographs, which can then be shared with as many or as few people as you choose. There are a number of issues with sharing photographs on these sites. While all of these sites have made it much easier to control where your photographs may or may not be seen and who sees them, posting personal photographs is always a risk. Sites like Flickr and Instagram are more specifically designed with photographers in mind and therefore have lots of options for how you wish to organise who you share your photos with, whether that's specific people or vast groups that you join. The advantages of sharing your photographs this way is that you can benefit greatly from people who have similar interests in photography and in many cases who will give you encouragement on your work when you publish it to these sites. Some photographers build up large followings which can translate into commercial success, as potential clients can contact any photographer whose particular style or area of interest meets their needs. Potentially, it is a good site to create image and print sales. There are a few things to be aware of with sharing any photographs on these public sites. Most major problems with photographs on the internet arise from people appropriating photographs and not attributing either usage fees or a photo credit. This is generally known as copyright infringement, and if an image is properly attributed to a photographer, it is well within the means of anyone to sue anyone else for an unlawful use of that image. If a photograph is taken and used to advertise a commercial business or is used to misrepresent the photographer or a person in the photograph, then the author of the work is within their rights to ask for compensation through the law courts. Most photographs that are not specifically copyrighted to your name or any organisation you may have created the photographs for fall under a Creative Commons licence. A Creative Commons licence is used when a photographer wants to give people the right to share, use, and perhaps build upon a photograph that they have created. Creative Commons provides a photographer flexibility. For example, they might choose to allow only non-commercial uses for their work and protects the people who use or redistribute the work, so they don't have to worry about copyright infringement, as long as they abide by the conditions that are specified in the licence that the photographer has specified. However, an American and British law now claims that all photographs on the internet for which a creator cannot be found is an orphan work and can be used for any purpose by any company. So it always pays to include your name, copyright notice, and any other data you would like within the metadata of the photograph. You can find this when you open your photograph in Bridge, Lightroom, or Photoshop itself. Another avenue for sharing your photography can be through exhibition and publication. I am an editorial photographer, and I think most people who have a keen interest in photography still think that shooting a cover story for the likes of Time magazine must be the ultimate in photographic achievement. I have been lucky because I have done 2 cover stories for Time magazine, but I still believe that my supreme expression of my work is to see it published in book form and see it in a gallery. Not everyone will have a chance to shoot a cover story for any magazine, and now with the decline of the printing industry and the rise of the internet, that opportunity is becoming far less. But there is something in the tangible representation of photographic work that is really very satisfying. So while setting up an exhibition can be very expensive and time-consuming, it's a great way to show people your work and to enjoy the experience of throwing a preview or an opening. There is something really fun about getting a whole bunch of people to come along and see your prints of your work on the wall. And while it can be quite nerve-wracking, I also believe that given the right audience, you can enjoy the financial benefits of trying to sell your work. The first consideration in exhibiting is finding a suitable space in which to put your work. Many cafes and restaurants enjoy having work on the walls as it is interesting for their customers. Or if you have a connection with the school or community hall, this can also be a great way of showing your work possibly with a group. Some galleries hire space out to unknown artists, but this can be very expensive, and many commercial galleries simply have a stable of selected artists and they promote only those. I believe that there are areas which can be set up as alternative gallery spaces that can be far more interesting than a traditional gallery structure. Publishing books is also now only a click away. Companies such as Blurb, Memento and Artisan State provide layouts and bound book templates for anyone who has a collection of images that they would like to self-publish. These can be created in limited editions and either just used as one-off coffee table books or as a limited edition pieces for sale. Recently, the Moran Photographic Prize of $80,000 was awarded for the second consecutive time to Dean Sewell, a Sydney Morning Herald photographer. Judged by fellow multi-award-winning photographer Steve Dupont, this very rich prize is highly contested by the Australian photographic public. But what really is an award-winning photograph? And is the plethora of photographic prizes really worth entering? Submitting work to photographic prizes largely depends on what sort of character you have personally. Photography is a very subjective art form, and within its ranks, many subscribe to certain formulaic and stylistic traditions. Where, for instance, the digital manipulation of an image in Photoshop may be seen as abhorrent by news photographers, it is often relished by art photographers. And what is acceptable art practice is often hotly debated. See Bill Henson and the argument surrounding his work. If you know what you have taken is a really special photograph and you would like to share that with the world, there are a number of things to take into consideration when it comes to entering a photographic award. Firstly, are there rules that you need to adhere to, such as not doing any digital manipulation to the image? Does the photograph have to be of a certain resolution that would be impossible to shoot on your compact camera? Does your image fit into the categories that may be nominated, such as sport or daily life? And most importantly, are you still able to maintain the rights to your photograph? Many photographic awards stipulate that on entering that you must renounce any pretensions to copyright you may have for the submitted image. If this is the case, you must think very carefully about whether you may ever want to use the photograph again in another context, because you may be just giving up your rights to be able to use it. While many photographic awards can bring with them much publicity and acknowledgement for the winners, revoking your rights to your photographic property may not be in your best interests. Always read the fine print of any prize very carefully. Entries for many awards now can have substantial fees, and therefore it is also wise to work out exactly what you wish to achieve by entering into a photographic prize. While judging for most awards is carried out by industry professionals and is democratic, generally only one person can win, so it can be somewhat like a lottery. You may be lucky or not, as the case may be. Every year, the World Press Photo Awards garner at least 100,000 photographic entries from photographers in over 120 countries. So the odds of being one of the 56 winners are almost impossible. There are, though, generally three possible outcomes to entering most photographic awards. One is that your work is selected for exhibition. Secondly, it's not selected. And thirdly, you may just win. And when the prize is $80,000, that could be a pretty amazing thing. In today's world, we are inundated with so many images that we can see on a huge variety of platforms. It can often become overwhelming. But I believe that we can never take enough photographs because memory can be so fleeting and we can lose so much if we don't document it. Regardless of whether you are a new photographer or a professional with many years of experience, what you do can be very important in preserving a moment in time, a place or a face. But with that comes great responsibility as well. So the next time you make a photograph, do think of what it is you are doing and make each frame count. Until next time, happy snapping.